Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Neptunes Sunday. It's your boy V Moss, back to go do another episode for an anniversary that we missed because of all the craziness with the Clipse album drop. So the same day that the Clipse album drop was the anniversary, the 25th anniversary of Beenie Man releasing his album Art and Life. So wanted to make sure we came back and talked about that album because we know that album and specifically the song Dem Sugar is very important to the Neptunes history and discography. So a little bit of background on Beenie Man, born in Kingston in the 70s, got involved with the music industry at a very young age. He started what they call toasting at the age of 5. So toasting, according to Wikipedia, is DJing and the act of talking, usually in a monotone melody over a rhythm or a beat. So he's doing that at the age of 5, and then he got discovered. He was encouraged by his uncle, who was a drummer for reggae music legend Jimmy Cliff, to like really pursue it and released his first album at 10 years old. So his first real break in the U.S. though came not until 1997 when Who Am I came out. So he's released a bunch of albums before this, but then he gets a big break with Who Am I, gets signed to Virgin Records, and so that kind of leads us to this point where he gets in the position to start releasing albums in the U.S. With the support of Virgin Records. We're talking about in 2000, and this album was really mostly produced by reggae and dancehall producers, except the Neptunes. And there's also a few tracks from Salam Remy, who most people know as, a frequent collaborator for all the work he does with Nas. So this was a big deal. Like, I think just the fact that I think this had a lot to do with something I'm going to talk about later in terms of like the resurgence or like kind of this wave of reggae and dancehall music taking over in the U.S. I think this album specifically and the Beenie Man as an artist had a lot to do with that. So let's get straight into it. Like I said, there's 3 Neptune songs. The first one is Ola. It's the second song on the album. It's a cool song. Neptune's beat is good, right? Nothing crazy. Not like not gonna say it's in the top 10 or anything like that, but it's still a good beat. I think the interesting fact about this song is it features Steve Perry. So like Wikipedia says it's Steve Perry from the ska like big band fusion group that came out in the 90s, Cherry Poppin' Daddies. But Spotify and Tidal say that it's Steve Perry, who was the lead singer of the 80s rock band Journey. I believe Spotify and Tidal just because I know Wikipedia is crowdsourced, first of all, and people get stuff wrong. But also, Spotify and Tidal have to be right because it has to show the credits of people because it's how they split the publishing and all that. So I believe that Spotify's got it right. So shout out to Steve Perry. Like, it'd be interesting to know a little bit more about how, either way, whichever Steve Perry it is, it'd be interesting to know how that collaboration became a thing, just like who decided to put Steve Perry on this Beenie Man song produced by the Neptunes. Interesting. Would love to know the history of that. Okay. Second Neptune song is Jamaica Way. Now, this is one of my favorite Neptunes beats overall. To me, it gives a little bit of inspiration. It sounds kind of like a Sega Genesis game, like it could be straight from Sonic the Hedgehog or Streets of Rage, which is another reason why I love it. I think that Jamaica Way could be like the reggae dancehall or like Jamaican cousin of Super Thug if you listen to it and then like listen to Super Thug right after it. A lot to do with the way that the drums hit, very similar to Super Thug. But one quick note about Jamaica Way. Back when we did our Big and Neptunes mashups a couple years ago, and my godbrother, the DJ Manati Da Vinci, aka DJ RNS, he mixed Biggie's Unbelievable with Jamaica Way beat, which I think came out really fire. I'll play a quick snippet of that real quick.
son, the livest one. Representing BK to the fullest. Gats I pull it. Bastards ducking when Big B bucking. Chicken heads be clucking in my back when fucking. It ain't nothing. They know Big B handling with the Mac in the act or paneling. Bandaging MCs. Oxygen, they can't breathe. Mad tricks up the sleeve. Red boxes so my dick can breathe. Breeze through with the Q45 by my side. Lyrical high. And those that brushes my clutches get put on crutches. Get smoked like Dutches from the master. Hate to blast ya, but I have to. You see, I smoke a lot.
So that song is on our YouTube page if you want to go check out the rest of it. And just replaying it just now, the one Sega video game that I really think it sounds like is Golden Axe. Like for all my old Sega Genesis heads out there, if you know Golden Axe, like this got the beginning of that song gives vibes like to the transition song in between levels of Golden Axe. Anyway, okay, so let's get into it. So arguably top 10 Neptune song of all time, Girls Dem Sugar. Maya floats on it. It's such a beautiful song, and that's what really makes it into this kind of R&B reggae fusion song. Just the way that Maya comes in, it is just like angelic on it. Shout out to Maya. It says the single came out in September 2000, but I remember like my godbrother I just talked about, DJ RNS. I remember him asking me to download it that summer. I don't know how he heard it. He was connected at the radio station, so maybe he heard it early, but, and again, I tell this story all the time, like, that was 2000, the summer of 2000 is, like, right after I graduated 8th grade, so crazy. But I was the first person in the family that had the CD burner, so, like, I was on Napster all the time. Shout out to Napster. I don't know if that's a good thing to shout out or not. But I remember downloading this song for him and being just, like, again, this is a huge part of my Neptunes fandom origin story, is, like, I would hear stuff and not know it was them, but then I would, you know, especially once I got to the point where I was downloading stuff for people, especially from DJ RNS, my God, because he was getting stuff that he heard and saying like, hey, look for this to see if it's out, and like that was one of those first Neptune songs I was like, oh wow, like this song is great. But like I mentioned earlier, right, like from the perspective of a kid, like an early teenager in Richmond, Virginia, the early 2000s reggae dancehall like wave was like a new sound to me. Like and like I said, this song had a lot to do with it. Like it really helped connect me to it, and I went back and grabbed old Beenie Man songs. Like got familiar with some of the other artists like Mr. Vegas. Like Heads High is one of my favorite songs of all time, and like going back to again like looking at stuff for family members. Like my brother, who I don't know if I talked about on the show before, my brother is like old enough to be my dad. He's but he like asked me to go back and download DMX and Mr. Vegas, Here Comes the Boom from Belly soundtrack, which was crazy. And then, you know, by that time when I'm going in high school, first couple years of high school, Sean Paul comes out and is like on fire. Like I felt like he was in rotation on the radio station for like 2-3 years. I looked it up. Duddy Rock had 4 singles. They were all bangers. Like we played them at, you know, the music videos were on every channel. Heard them at all the parties. Give Me the Light came out at like sometime in 2001, and then the 4th single, I'm Still in Love with You, came out in October 2003. So like that was an incredible run. That was like kind of like the most visible anchor of this, what I'm talking about, is like this U.S. wave of this reggae dancehall music being exposed to a new generation of people in a different demographic. And then obviously Duddy Rock had a Neptune song there too called Bubble, which is kind of cool. But again, like I talked about this on the show a couple of times, is like this is another example of how the music helped connect me with people when I got to school at Hampton, right? Like I said, a kid from Virginia, all this is new to me in terms of, you know, my mom wasn't playing reggae dancehall music at the crib. Like my mom was heavy soul and R&B, Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, Earth, Wind and Fire. So to get exposed to this music for the first time in this way, and then be able to have the internet and Napster be able to allow me to catch up a little bit, but then to go to school at Hampton and be connected with people who, have Caribbean roots, right? Especially my folks from New York, New Jersey, who like, yeah, they grew up in New York and New Jersey, but like their families are from these places. Their families are from Jamaica, which is like another way that I was able to connect with a group of people and get to like share that culture through music in that way, which is really dope. So I wanted to talk about how uh, we posted about Girls and Sugar last year because Vogue talked about it in when we did our live R&B battle event, and there was a little bit of discrepancy about. We had some comments about what she said, and basically there was a comment from someone who kind of explained the history of the song to us that we didn't really know. So what Vogue said was she basically quoted or referenced an interview that Beenie Man did in 2014. Beenie Man says, "We got in the studio with the Neptunes. It was not my idea, it was Pharrell's. He had this great idea to remake Who Am I, Sim Simma. So Pharrell goes, Sim Simma, Beenie Man and the girls, Dem Sugar, Sim Simma, the girls, them world class lover," and that's how it was put together. And we got a Grammy award for it. It was a great thing. And then we put Maya on the track, and the rest was history. So I think the confusing part, confusing is not the right word, but like, I think the way that me and Vogue interpreted what he said, because I thought exactly the same thing when she said it, because I read this article before, too, is like, he says remake. And so what Vogue said on the clip of the episode is like, she read this and it says that Girls and Sugar is a remake of Who Am I? And I think that that's not what he meant, even though that's what we interpreted it to be. Like, I think what he meant was, it was Pharrell's idea to just add that Who Am I Sim Simma part to this song. But the reality is, which the people commented and told us, is like, Girls and Sugar, this version is the second version of it. Like, there's a whole nother original version of Girls and Sugar that came out on an album called Maestro in 1996. And so shout out to Instagram Junior Rodigan, who kind of basically commented and gave us the whole history of it. But basically explained that, like, there's a thing, for those of you who are fans of reggae and dancehall music, like the concept, the idea of these rhythms. Hopefully I'm saying that wrong. I sound like a American. But basically, the rhythm that Beenie Man used for Romy is the same one that he used for this original version of Girls and Sugar. So, big picture, the point here is, for those of you who didn't know, yes, Girls and Sugar is a remix or a second version. The one that we know and love with Maya, produced by Neptunes, is not the original version. So go check it out. It is on streaming. I didn't see the album Maestro on streaming. Let me see if it's on Apple Music. Maybe not. But there's a couple versions of it on Yes. So the Maestro album is on streaming. You can go check it out. There's a couple other, like, there's a Best of Beenie Man and another reggae compilation album that I found that had the original version on it. So go check that out so you can hear the difference. The lyrics are pretty much exactly the same. But just to clear that up, we wanted to make sure everyone understood that we know that there was a different version. But we also wanted to make sure that it was clear, like, we didn't just make that up. Like, we weren't getting out false information. Like, we literally took what Beenie Man said when he referenced remaking it, but, like, what he meant was borrowing a piece of it and adding it to the new song. Anyway, like I said before, Girls and Sugar, Beenie Man and Maya is, like, one of the top Neptune songs of all time. Yeah, R&B-ish. That's why I played at the R&B live event, because it's got that R&B vibe to it. But I think, like I said, a big part of, for me personally and specifically, like, being introduced to reggae dancehall music at that time. So Beenie Man would also collab with the Neptunes on some other tracks after this album. For those of you who know, like his first album, the one and only single, "I'm Serious" features Beenie Man on the hook. Came out in 2001, and then when Beenie Man released his next album in the U.S. in 2002 called Tropical Storm, he had 3 Neptune songs on there. So the hit smash single with Janet Jackson, Feel It Boy. For those of you who know, there's also an original version that features Joe instead of Janet Jackson, so check that out if you can. I think it might be on YouTube. Other songs called Bad Girl, which I like a lot. And then I feel like he got the, at the time, put together the reggae dancehall Avengers when he did Boss Man, which features Sean Paul and Lady Saw. Reggae dancehall Avengers put them together on a song on Neptune's beat. That was a dope single, cool video. So shout out to Beenie Man. I think Beenie Man went on to have like a ton of success in the U.S. after this. That I think this album and then the second album, not second album, but then the next album, Tropical Storm, had a lot to do with. I think he really blew up with the song Dude or whatever. Like there were some other hits that he came out with after his Neptunes work that really, kept his momentum going in the U.S. So shout out to Beenie Man. Wanted to, before we leave, do a quick top 5 of my Neptunes Pharrell reggae dancehall inspired songs. Honorable mentions, right? Like there's a few Busta Rhymes songs that have reggae dancehall vibes, partly because of the production from the Neptunes, but mostly because of like the way that Busta raps on some of those songs. Like Busta has roots in Jamaica. His parents are from Jamaica, so Kill Them is one of them. Then the song with Nicki, Twerk It, and then Tings and Robo Shata from the Blockbuster album are kind of like Busta like tapping in with the Neptunes or with Pharrell to like really get into some of those reggae dancehall vibes. And then cannot echo this enough about how crazy the reggae dancehall wave in the US was. So crazy in the 2000s, the early 2000s, that we got a random grinding selector remix at the end of the Clipse album, Lord Willem, that features Sean Paul, a guy named Bless, and then Cardinal Official. Like what? Like that just shows how major the reggae dancehall music vibe like wave was in the US, that like we're just throwing this at the end of the album. Like no new Clipse verses, just the reggae dancehall artists on grinding, right? So I think that is like kind of like a perfect like telling that story about how crazy this wave was in the early 2000s. Okay, my top 5 Neptunes Pharrell reggae dancehall tracks. So I said Sean Paul's got one on Dirty Rock, Bubble, and then Beenie Man, Feel It Girl with Janet Jackson. I like that a lot, but I like Boss Man better, so that's number 3. And then number 2, Super Cat, Dawn of the Dawns on the Clones album featuring Jadakiss. Beat is crazy. Super Cat does his thing, and then Jadakiss floats on it. So that's number 2. And then obviously number 1 is simple, Girls Dem Sugar. Easy, no question. So had to do this episode just real quick because I wanted to make sure we talked a little bit about this album and this song because it's important, and it's different, right? Like, I think anytime we have the Neptunes or Pharrell kind of really tap in and collaborate across a genre, specifically when you look at them in the Neptunes as being in a rap, hip hop, R&B, not box, but like focus. And then anytime they do something outside of that, it's kind of let's pay attention. And then, like they did it very well. Like that's dope. Let's give them the flowers and give them the credit for it. So shout out Beenie Man. has been another episode of Neptune Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed it. There's a lot going on. Hope you guys are still bumping the Clipse album. We are in the middle of the year and we're not done. So stay tuned. Appreciate everybody listening. Catch you guys next Neptune Sunday. Peace and love.